Hey, welcome. So, we're about to dive into this really powerful and maybe kind of counterintuitive idea. What if the key to happiness isn't about what we say, but all about how we listen? We're going to break down a model that connects intentional listening, the surprising energy of silence, and the actual science of our own well being. Let's get right into it. Just let that question sit with you for a second. Most of us think of silence as, well, nothing, right? Just empty space, an absence of noise. But what if we started treating it like a skill, a powerful tool that we could actually practice and get better at? That's really the core question we're tackling here. And here's the problem. Our world is just built on noise. Think about it. In meetings and conversations, there's this unspoken pressure to jump in, to have an immediate response, to prove you're engaged. We end up talking just to fill the void. And in all that constant noise, true intentional listening has become a bit of a lost art. Okay, so how do we push past all that noise? Well, the first step isn't learning some new way to talk. It's about fundamentally changing our internal state of being. This brings us to the very first pillar of this model, called plus being. The big idea here is that real, authentic listening doesn't start with your ears. It starts inside your own head. It's the huge difference between impatiently waiting for your turn to speak versus consciously quieting your own thoughts just to receive what someone else is saying. Before you can do listening, you have to first be a listener. So once you've started to work on that internal state of being, you'll see it's not just about you. It's actually the foundation for how we build connections outward with other people. And that's where the second pillar comes in, plus we. When you truly listen from that state of presence, suspending your judgment, just welcoming what the other person is saying, something really powerful happens. They feel seen. They feel heard. And that feeling, that is the absolute bedrock of trust, connection, and a genuine sense of community. And here's where things get really fascinating. The source material uses this incredible phrase, it calls prejudice an energy vampire. Just think about that for a second. When we walk into a conversation with our minds already made up, our brain is using all of its energy to defend our own opinion, not to understand a new one. We're literally sucking the potential energy right out of that interaction, shutting down trust and making any real collaboration pretty much impossible. And this image, wow, it just says it all, doesn't it? A bunch of people talking at each other isn't automatically a community. A real community is built when people feel genuinely heard and understood by each other. Without that shared listening, you've just got a room full of individuals. And look, this isn't just some nice feel-good idea. It's backed by some serious science. One of the longest-running studies on human life ever, the Harvard Study of Adult Development, found that above everything else, more than money, more than fame, the single biggest predictor of our long-term happiness and health is the quality of our relationships, period. Okay, so this all makes sense, right? But it brings up a huge question. If listening is so critical and silence is the key to listening, why are we so afraid of it? Let's explore the energy of silence. So why do we run away from silence? Well, it kind of boils down to a few things. In our go culture, it can feel really unproductive, like you're not doing anything. It also makes us feel vulnerable. In that quiet space, you have to face uncertainty. And let's be honest, just staying silent and being truly present takes a ton of inner discipline. And this is exactly why we have to start thinking about silence differently. This brings us to the third pillar, discipline. Think of it like a workout for your brain. Every time you consciously choose to be silent and just listen, you're training your attention, you're strengthening your emotional control, and you're building up your capacity to be more open. And this image, this is the payoff for all that discipline. When we intentionally step away from the constant noise of words, we create mental space. And it's in that space that real meaning can finally show up, and where we find the energy to be truly present. All right, now let's geek out a little bit because this isn't just psychological. This whole process has a real physical effect on our bodies. It's chemistry. Here's the most important thing to get. Words are not neutral. Every word you hear, every word you say, it triggers a chemical reaction in your brain and in your body. That means our conversations aren't just an exchange of information. They are chemical events that can either build us up or tear us down. I mean, just look at this breakdown. When we feel listened to and respected, our brains get a nice bath of chemicals like oxytocin, that's the trust hormone, dopamine for motivation, and serotonin for security. But on the flip side, when we get hit with impulsive or judgmental words, our bodies get a flood of cortisol, the stress hormone, which immediately pushes us into defense mode. Okay, so let's pull all these pieces together and see how they form a complete model for what you could call your relational energy. So here they are, the four pillars all in one place. It all starts with your internal state, your plus being. That then allows you to build a true sense of plus we with others. The whole thing is supported by the discipline of practicing silence. And the result? Positive chemistry, where your interactions generate trust and energy, not stress and burnout. And if you remember just one thing from all this, let it be this. Listening is not passive. It is the active, intentional application of your energy into your relationships. It's a practice that doesn't just make other people feel good, it directly creates a shared sense of well-being for everyone involved. So I'll leave you with this question. Not for tomorrow or next week, but for today. In a meeting, at the dinner table, maybe just during your commute. Where will you find just one moment to push back against all the noise and intentionally practice the powerful skill of silence?